This conference will now be recorded.
Did y'all hear that too? The lady announcing that? Is that like
Yeah.
global? It's annoying. It's like when you go to Sonic and you push the button and it beeps really loud in your face. They can turn that off. I wish they would. So, how is everybody?
Hello.
Good.
Good, good. I think pretty much everybody's regular and everybody else knows who we are, but I'm Brian and there's CeeLo and we got Jason on here with us, Mr. Roto Boss.
Where's Mr. Myers?
I don't
Dragon?
know. We're gonna have to give it an 8.
That's right.
So I guess we'll do the same haphazard thing we usually do, kind of an open round table discussion, and we'll hit on some things. But if anybody has anything, fire away.
Ricketts.
Crickets. Awkward silence. I love it. I'm in it pretty much all day long. Not really. Not silence.
What's
We've been
going
dealing
on? Go ahead.
we've been dealing with an actual like for reals graphic designer who does not know how to design for laser stuff. So she sent me her logo and it had like 15 layers in it and all the different colors because Lightburn just like shows every detail that nobody wants to see or admit that's there. So Tommy's like taking pictures of the screen and sending it to her of all of her gobbledygook that she was sending. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's not what it looks like in, Illustrator or whatever. And we're like, yeah, well, this is what it really looks like though.
What was it in the early 2000s? Realtree came out with their HD pattern. She was one of the developers and the designers for it with Realtree, so she knows what she's doing.
But it's
Not
for
when it,
print. Yeah. For print's
So
way different than for lasers.
we're gonna give her one of our old Lightburn keys. One so that she can download Lightburn so that she can bring it into Lightburn first
Right.
before she even sends it to me to see how nasty it is to fix it before she sends it to me and I have to waste my time on.
You have the AI version? Is that what she's working with? Illustrator?
I assume so. She's sending
she
everything
works-
as an SVG though,
yeah,
but
she works with everything.
yeah, she may be using other programs too. I'm not sure exactly what she's using.
There's- See if she has the AI and send it to me. There's an easy way to fix it.
Okay. Because it's so horrible. And she's like, it should be filled in. It shouldn't be outlines like that. I'm like, it's because you got like 4 things stacked on top of each other. That's why it looks like that.
Yeah. That's the way print design's taught, because you
It's
only see
hidden.
the top layer. The rest of them
Yeah,
are hidden. So they do a lot of
it's
masking
like
and things like that.
she keeps talking about, but I flattened it, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. I have one dimension for all my stuff, so
Yeah. We only work in outlines would probably be the best way to tell her that
well, we
that it
try
works.
to tell people,
Yeah.
coloring book type pictures or, really
hmm
simple stuff like that. People just still don't get it. We had somebody again the other day trying to send me stuff. She's like, well, I've always been able to do whatever I need to do on the internet to order stuff. She saw the big tumblers and she wanted one, and then I told her the price and she like kind of freaked out, and instead of ordering like 4, she might get one. Um, and I'm like, oh,
No, not yet.
people just don't understand.
Yeah.
So how you, Chris? Yeah, Myers.
Muted shit. You'll probably hear me eat my dinner. I'm doing good.
Oh,
Doing good.
cool. We're giving it an 8. I told Loco.
Yeah. Yep. I should have muted me.
Probably. So cool. Sorry, I was looking at a different monitor. So one of the topics was going to be talking about the cold weather. freezing since it's that time and all of that. So we can bring that kind of stuff up if nobody has anything specific. And I don't really know what to say about it other than last year we got them to approve RV antifreeze, which was kind of a weird thing to go through because before they would only approve those two goofy ones that you had to buy in 55-gallon drums, or it cost you $450 for a jug or whatever that stuff was.
So
So
here's the questions reference to your documentation versus this year and last year.
Yes.
Is last year it was dump your chiller, 100% RV antifreeze, wait till it thaws, everything warms up, dump it, and then back to distilled water.
precisely.
Is that still the recommendation, or a 50-50, or
Yeah.
what?
I think on the Thunder site, y'all have like two versions of instructions. The last time I looked.
I think I added use it undiluted on there, which I think was one of the other things, but you do use it at 100% strength or it's not effective. Some people run it year round. I mean, not necessarily in the Thunder specific realm, but just in general with the glass tubes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, but even though we've determined that it's basically safe for the system, there still could be long-term corrosion, or stuff like that from it. So that's why if you don't need freeze mitigation, that's why we recommend we dump it and go back with distilled. But running it in it year round isn't necessarily bad. I don't know if the heat dissipation or the thermal properties are the same. I believe they're a little less. It may be a little bit more ineffective at cooling, which our chillers are sufficient enough. It doesn't matter. We don't have any overheating problems. So that's another reason you may want to go back to distilled. And the viscosity, although that stuff's pretty watery, might tax the pump more, and that kind of thing. But those are anomalies that we don't see very often, but they're plausible.
The other thing to remember is even if you have antifreeze in there, that stuff still can freeze depending on where you're at. And then if you
Right.
got a blast or a connection to the outside temperatures, meaning your exhaust, if you don't have like a blast gate or a way of physically disconnecting it, that can still let cold air be pulled back into the machine. So some things around that, like if you open up the tube door, you open up the main lid and stuff like that overnight, at least your tube has the ability to acclimate to your surrounding area. So some people keep their areas mildly warmed up, 50 degrees or something in the cold winters, but if the doors are shut, that air has more work to do before it can get inside. So you can also do those steps.
Yeah, and we have seen those vent hoods, even though they have a louver or they're dampened either with a spring or with a weight. We have seen pressure differentials cause them to pop open and they don't seal all the way, and you can still get cold air in even though you have that there. So to positively shut it off, a blast gate would be recommended, even if you have a damper.
James has a question.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I see it's raised now. Go ahead, James.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just had a question today about when should we start thinking about spare parts and keeping spare parts like next to us I know it's a pretty quick turnaround time getting parts, but like when should we think hour-wise for like LPSQs or any type of other failures you've seen? When should we start
If
thinking about those things?
Day
if
one,
this is your only laser, absolutely
Yes.
day one. Yeah, if you're
especially
dependent
because
on it, and
you're coming up on the holiday season. Everybody's going to be going frantic. People are going to be popping tubes, power supplies, and everybody's going to want to be running. And 3 days down as you're waiting for a part is still 3 days down. So
Right.
we have a list of recommended spare parts if this is business critical, like you make your livelihood off of this or you rely on the income, it's worth spending a couple $100 to have some spares on hand. The only one we really don't recommend getting is the tube simply because they have a shelf life, but everything else on the list is basically power supply and then consumables.
Okay. So that's on the knowledge base?
Yep.
That's good
Yep.
to know. Yeah, I'm just approaching 500 about hours in a year. I don't know what's normal in a year, but I just want to make sure I'm
Yeah.
getting to that
And
point.
yeah, and there's a lot of other factors, on how much you carry, and how you build that into your bottom line. If you're cutting MDF blanks all day long with a 130-watt machine running at 100 power, just so you can pump out as many pieces in a day as you can, you're going to go ahead and assume that you're going to burn out a tube in 2 years and build that into your bottom line so that it's a consumable. So you're not, you're absorbing that cost already. And then just run that thing hard and put it up wet. That's some people's business model. Some people just do it on the weekends. It's only, a more bespoke kind of thing where they'll have a few people come up and get a custom thing. Maybe you don't need to worry. I'd still have some parts on hand, but they would last a little longer in that respect. But you know, anytime that laser is going to cost you money if it's not running, it's definitely worth having plenty of spares on hand, especially the ones that we see fail most typically.
What's the likelihood of a servo or stepper driver going out?
Those aren't as
Almost,
common.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The least common things are motors, belts, believe it or not, bearings. We don't have a whole lot of trouble with bearings, even on 10-year-old machines. The highest failure rate parts are the laser power supply, the optics, of course, and the tube. Those are the big ones, you know.
Yeah, I was more referring towards the electronic parts because I have several lenses, several mirrors,
Mhm.
just the
Yeah,
power supplies and other things that could
yeah,
go out.
and we don't have a lot of trouble on the DC power supplies unless somebody plugs one up to 220. So, but definitely the high voltage laser power supply. That's
Right.
a pretty volatile little power supply. It's turning 120 volts AC into 30,000 volts DC. So there's rectifiers and things in there, and they do critically fail. And high voltage is goofy anyway. It can jump and arc. So
I
definitely
think I
want one
have.
of those on the shelf.
And
Have
these
seen
are
this.
we have to email y'all support to get these or
No, we can get a link in the comments, but we've got them all on our ecom system, our online store now.
okay.
Resources dot.
Resources.
Yeah, go ahead.
.thunderlaserusa.com.
All right.
Yeah.
There's one right there, right?
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
a
know, that Apple
flyback.
camera can't focus.
Flyback.
Here we go.
I'll throw this right through the camera.
Go for it. That's your $3,000 MacBook Pro, not mine.
Yeah. And pro tip, shake those power supplies and make sure nothing's rattling in them when you get them, because those flybacks are kind of heavy and sometimes they don't glue them down good, or somebody uses them as a football, somewhere through the UPS line or whatever. So,
All right. Thank you.
mhm.
And I guess in a flip of the freezing fires, guys, we've seen a lot of fires lately in people's machines. Um, do not take for granted and walking away and all that jazz. Like it will quickly burn up components. And it's not that the machine can't be recovered, but it's extended downtime when you do have a fire. So, you start cutting acrylics and foams and, odds and ends like that, you really got to watch for it. If you're using an external air compressor and say that compressor is prone to tripping your breaker, or you're overdoing it on the high air side and you're actually draining the tank, you got to watch for that. So just be mindful of the fires.
Yeah. But luckily, I don't think we've had a machine we weren't able to have running again pretty quickly on any of them, even some of the severe ones. So,
Yep,
we
just takes time and effort to get them back
yeah.
running again.
So I'm looking at this e-commerce page. It looks like it's pretty limited to what's on there, right? Like
Right now it is.
no belts or anything.
Now, those don't go out very often, and so those probably, I mean, on the front end, they probably won't show up. At some point, maybe we're expanding on this. It hasn't been launched very long, so we're kind of taking baby steps, and getting out the most critical parts first, and then working through the other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, Chris
But
Chris just mentioned that the fire. I was a victim of the fire when I first got my machine, and the belts were only component that melted.
Yeah, yeah, and we do have belt material, different belts for the machines, even though they're not on there. And typically, if there's a fire, you have a support ticket, and we can work it out through there and give you the links to it or whatnot. And however that works. And then
Yeah.
if we don't have something, the good news is on those, I think most of that's available, except for the Z-axis belt on Amazon. As an alternate, just in case we happen to not have something.
Yeah, I think I fought the length. The length was what I couldn't find. You ended up sending me something from, I think, your house actually, that you had on spare when it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I keep some of that stuff around for emergencies.
Yeah,
So,
it's kind of where I'm at.
all right. Well, anybody else have anything? We've covered our topic and our other topic. We got a bonus topic. So,
Well, hold on. It only took 15 minutes to cover everything. 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah, kind of crazy.
Anybody
Huckleberry,
wondering if
how are you doing, man? What do you got going on? You're always busy. You might be muted or have the volume down.
Not listening.
Nope,
you want me to unmute
maybe
him?
working.
Can I do that? Would that be a good idea?
Can you turn his speakers on?
No, I can send an unmute request, but I can't directly unmute him, and I'm certainly glad because if this system would allow that, I don't want to use it anymore.
He's watching us. Yeah, gonna wave to him. Hey, turn it on. No.
so
I'm going to
Tommy,
send the request and see what happens.
I know you posted that other
There he is.
video with wood on the UV. Did you have success with the other wood you were going to cut?
So I haven't done the Purple Heart yet. I did Lignum Vitae, which is one of the densest woods with the highest on the Janka scale. It was a little thicker than the ebony, but had it been thinned down or I exceeded the passes more than 36, it would have cut through. It was just a couple little pieces. Actually, it didn't turn out that bad.
What, the lignum vitae?
Yeah, but the
So
time-wise,
Time-wise for the species, the lignum vitae, which is a really pretty green wood, time-wise it makes more sense to do it in the CO2. But the ebony, I will never put in the CO2 again. I will only do it in the UV. So I was super excited to be able to have more Halloween earrings. I think somebody wasn't quite sure when we posted the picture. They're like, that's really expensive Halloween decorations. Like, dude, I charge a premium for them.
Nice. Now, have y'all gotten the upgraded lens size, or are you using the standard lens, the 170, I think it is?
we have both lenses, and I was just using the standard.
Okay.
Because I mean, they're little bitty earrings, you know.
Well, yeah, my thought is the beam spot size is going to get bigger if you went to that bigger lens, to where you'd have better with the smaller throw lens. Finder for cutting.
Yeah, it cuts beautifully, and BSing with Huckleberry and getting the leather cutting, it cuts leather amazingly well. I mean, I would have never thought to use a UV to cut anything until he popped up with try it on leather.
Nice. Yeah, I've been doing the 2-color row mark stuff. The cleanup is so minimal on the UV engraving compared to the Nova or Odin.
I can't get the settings. I just can't get the settings dialed in yet for those.
Really? Okay. They were in that library that y'all sent over.
Well, some of them it's not.
Okay.
It's whatever brand that we have. We've got one black and white, and I just cannot dial the settings in for it, no matter what I do. But the rest of them turned out pretty well.
Okay. Is your brand Grab Apply? Because I've got some of that I could test on.
I have no damn clue.
Okay.
No. For the two-tone, we've purchased from JDS and I think Houston Acrylics, so whatever they sell.
Okay.
The one of them is the Gemini Duets. Um,
Row mark, that should be it.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought the Graviply almost was a little sticky after engraving it compared to the
I've
Romark.
I've had that happen
They also,
on some of the stuff where the edges are sticky after it cuts.
Yep.
yep.
I hate
And
that.
the white over black was just like really bad because it just smeared everywhere.
From Houston, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that original stuff was all from Houston Acrylic, and it doesn't say a brand unless it says on their website.
Okay. I'll tinker with it.
Yeah, I don't have any more black over white.
Yeah, I got white over black and black over white to tinker with.
I
But
don't
so
think I
far,
did.
it's
We have what,
the
orange and
other
black too.
colors has been great.
Did
The
these things,
black over white sucks.
Are you driving, Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think
I knew it.
that it deformed it.
I might have some somewhere.
And I tried some EVA foam too on the UV just to tinker with it. It's like a light gray over black. It did pretty good. Can basically get a nice grayscale on it, and then it does it pretty good on the depth engrave as well.
I was
But
impressed with just the birch, the depth engrave, like a grayscale engrave or a half tone engrave, and the depth that you can get out of it, the multi depth, 3-dimensional. Very impressed. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have any more black and white. I'll have to order some, Tommy.
no worries. It's no big deal. I mean, we've been using other stuff and we don't do it very often. It's just the fact of trying to get it. I know we're going to play with PLA and PTG a little bit more, making poker chips for some of the board games and things like that, and engraving on them, just to see what the different colors will yield. I figure they're all going to yield gray, but I can hope.
no, I got a very nice white color. I thought I sent you a picture of it on black PLA.
Really?
Yeah, like brighter than I could get out of the fiber.
No, I hadn't seen that one, man.
Okay, I'll have to run another batch of that. And then PETG marks very well. You can get a couple different colors depending on what you're doing. Typically, you're going to get blacks, but there's some like silvers, stuff like that. But I haven't done any PETG yet on the whatchamacallit. This is one that I did. It's on like a brown PLA, but you can see the contrast is pretty bright. So
I know purple yields a gray that I can get, but I haven't played with it enough to see if I can get more.
yeah, that's kind of from the fiber. It's black on that for the purple.
Yeah.
Hard to see, but yeah, depending on the color, I can actually get it almost be whitish grayish on some of those PETG colors.
Yeah.
And is the marking on the PETG a depth marking, or is it just completely flat surface marking?
Surface, and there's a little bit of raise to it. Like when I drag my fingernail down it, I can stop at the arrow on there. So I mean, it gets a little bit of a raise mark to it.
Okay.
I don't know if this is going to work or not.
Yeah, it looks like you did a test file.
Yep. I think that's in the either 1, 2, or 3,000 file. I don't remember, trying to see what colors I could get out of it.
Yep.
So even on this purple, it does. But yeah, I'm interested to see what we can do on black.
Yeah, I can get from almost a grays all the way up to a white. Now, the other thing I found too is not all black PLAs are the same. Some of them actually, like if you gave them side by side with the same settings, you'll get different coloring. So I ended up 3D printing a flat sheet of the PLA so that I could do a material test card on it. I mean,
On
it didn't
each
take
brand.
long.
I'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah, you make like he's gonna go give Junior or an assignment.
So he just walked off to go tell the boy to 3D print in all the different colors, I guess.
Yep. A 100 by
But
100 square, and let's go.
the printers have been busy.
Little bat. Oh, so it's got the motion in it. Nice.
Yeah, we had to. That was fun putting the rubber bands on the back. Yeah, the printers have been pretty busy doing Halloween stuff. Little spiders. That's hard to see.
Yeah.
Hey Chris, how does the I don't have a fiber or a UV. What is the 3D printed materials laser like on the CO2?
Not very well. So the CO2
Just
will give you more
curious.
of a depth. Yeah.
It
I
just
wish I had an example.
so I do, but you're probably not going to be able to see it. Yeah. It just kind of removes the material,
Yeah,
but it doesn't change color.
yeah, no color. Yeah, no color.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be your depth really. So what I'll do on that is I'll print a sub layer, almost like the Romark type materials and all that, where I've got like black underneath, 2 or 3 layers of the top color, and then I'll just engrave to that depth.
Okay.
And with the bamboo, you can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
just
Makes
I
it
just got
easy.
a X1C, and that's what I've been experimenting
Nice.
with, was doing multicolor.
Yep. So
I
that'd
see
be
it in the
perfect for
background
it.
of your picture.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the 2 of them. A little disappointed with the A1. Let's see. Oh, and TPU, it marks very well on fiber. I haven't tried it on UV though, but I need to. And then ABS, of course, does fantastic on fiber. Check your MSDS on that one, but it does very good on the fiber. I'm trying to see. Yeah. And Danny's got his X1C behind him too. It looks like an Ender 3 or something that's probably not going to get used for a good while.
It's accurate, real accurate, but it is so slow.
Yep. Just like with the lasers, you don't realize how slow something is until you get something fast.
So when will the lasers come out with carbon gantries?
Right. Well, they got the new magnetic. I don't know if you've seen that
PO
one.
poly? The PO poly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With magnetic, I guess levitation. But yeah, I mean, for something like that, our Odin series is where the speed picks up, right? That's where you get to 2000. They're still, I think they're going to be aluminum gantries at that point, but they're much lighter. They're not as industrial, not really meant for cutting. They're just meant for speed engraving and cutting as a side effect, just like the Bolt. But yeah, that would be cool to see, right? Let's push it, see how quickly we can vector cut and all that jazz. The scores, like if you could actually truly score at, say, 1,000 millimeters per second.
That's what I'm interested in, since I've seen this X1C go at work.
Yep.
Yeah. Gantry mass. That PO poly, I don't know if you looked at it, it's the same way. They had it on the table, and the table, it like to shake itself off the table because of the mass.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I've got mine too behind me. They're on a big, heavy filing cabinet that is chock full of, tons of files. So it probably weighs 300 pounds. And so that's the only thing. But still, when both of them get going, you feel the vibration through the floor and everything. It definitely resonates.
Yeah.
Well, we now have a use for the Ender. It's going to print all those tests. I'll have 2 more bamboos before the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, the other news about the bamboo, the Enterprise Edition may not be bigger. It just adds some Enterprise level features to it. So,
Don't bother me.
yeah, I still want a bigger printer.
Lois.
Lois.
My spy on the wall reminds me, because we have the external air compressor, that I have literally a switch on the wall to turn it off and on for both of the CO2s. So the spy reminds me every day to turn it on and then to turn it off so that I don't forget.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We had a user this week email us. They wanted to be able to wire
The big
their
compressor to the
compressor.
laser.
Well, not to power from the laser, but to basically give it a signal that the chiller's on. So off the main contact of the power's the chiller, a signal says, hey, go ahead and crank up the compressor so that, they can't fire the laser unless that compressor is also on.
Yeah, I've done it sometimes where I look and go, oh crap, I forgot to turn the air on.
Yep.
And my tank has a small leak, so it's
Yep.
not like my giant tank stays full and it's fine. It drains on its own sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, that's what my small one does.
I've got scenarios set up on my Google and got the smart switches, but you can only get at least the ones on Amazon that I prefer to pay for that are relatively inexpensive, or 15 amp. And even on that Nova, I don't know how they have lasted. I bought extras anticipating burning a couple of them out, and I haven't. So I can say, like, turn on Odin, hope it doesn't do it, and it turns on the air compressor and the machine. You know what I mean? And I can have it turn the lights off. It can set the mood for me.
Only you.
Yeah,
Only you.
We can tell the spy to turn on the lights and stuff in the living room, and theoretically it's supposed to be able to change the temperature, but that never works out quite right.
Yeah, well, mine works, and I'm glad because my daughter likes to put it down on 68 sometimes at night and freezes out upstairs. So I can just get on my phone and change it.
Yes.
What do you
know
sleep
that
at?
Getting out of bed.
on your phone is so nice.
What do you try to sleep at? 74 degrees?
Well, it depends.
All right,
In the
Grandpa.
summer, in the summer, I like it about 73. Or what?
Oh,
No, I mean a real 73. That's not bad,
I'm at
hot.
70.
really.
67.
Oh my
67.
Year round.
God.
Yes,
Wow.
icebox. And in the winter, wake up in the morning, it's 55 degrees. That's fantastic.
Now, I like that
Your wife
sometimes.
must
It's
freeze.
crisp. He may sleep in the garage. She may be
Yeah.
warm.
That's what gas heat's for.
Yeah, what is it in
The
here?
morning is cold.
At 78 in here right now.
Ooh.
I'm at 80,
Damn.
but I got my doors closed. I'm afraid the birds chirping will throw people off. That always seems to be an oddity that gets mentioned.
Hey, we're
Snipping
excited.
of
It's
birds.
raining.
Yeah, we're finally getting rain.
Yeah, we've got some coming too, and some cooler temps. So I'm looking forward to all that.
I'm so excited.
Are you guys looking at the Bolt or the 22, the Odin? What's any news with that? That is good for the recording hour.
Oh, yeah. it's still a hard sell. I'm not sure yet. I know that we just got our first vendor show lined up, and I asked, could we bring one? And
And it's a place that we do a lot of shows at this one location. And they said yes.
So it is
At least for the first time. Then we'll see what happens. But
because if I order the bolt, it's still a 30-day turnaround, right? Or have y'all gotten them faster than that?
Not really, I don't think. I mean,
Uh,
they've been receiving them pretty quick. Some people have seen, what, 2-3 weeks? But for the most part, yeah, 30 days.
and with us being in the middle of the country, it's not like we're on a coast to make it faster,
Now you could take the top of the Odin off the base as well. Like you could make the base, whenever you're not using it, have it in your shop, and then have a spot for it wherever you're rolling to, or just keep it with it.
Yeah, a little
Yeah, we're
larger
trying
bolt.
to. I wouldn't want to be moving around a glass tube all the time.
Not
Yeah,
Odin
Oh,
RF2.
never
It's-
mind.
it's metal.
Yeah, never mind. My bad.
well, if that place is going to dedicate a spot for you, maybe you can talk them into poking a hole in the wall for you too.
That might be pushing it.
There's a lot of doors. So when they're not doing vendor shows, it's like a conference room.
Mhm.
So it does have a lot of doors and some windows. I don't know if the window's open or not. So we were just gonna I would freeze myself in the wintertime by standing there with the door open and
Mhm.
the hose run out the door or whatever.
And I don't know if I can receive that Odin and the one that we've been discussing and get it right
Yeah, fix it.
in enough time.
Yeah, it'd probably take 2 months.
So
If your timeline's less than 2 months.
yes.
Yeah,
And the first show's in November.
man, it's coming up quick.
So
Yeah.
I know that I have to make a decision pretty quick.
Or, more 3D printers.
That's a lot of damn 3D printers.
Yeah, how many bamboos is that?
We got swamped with a last minute order that client should have ordered 2 months ago, and they gave us less than 20 days to have them built, engraved, and shipped.
To Texas.
So we haven't had time to really think about anything.
Y'all posted that somewhere, didn't you?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, in one of the groups, just
video,
as a warning for people that deal with government or military or whatnot. Nobody really thinks about the timeline that it takes to build stuff. I know Danny runs a CNC. A couple of us do. They're not the fastest things in the world. Just like 3D printing. You can print something that's great. This little bat here. But it's still 5 hours, even as fast as the bamboo's running.
Yeah, it's probably the color changes. The other thing for everybody to consider too is shipping channels. They get a little bit messy come December.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
And they're going to run into that because there's 2 other orders for them specifically that will be arriving before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And they're going to procrastinate, and then, not my problem. And this time they ordered late, so they're getting charged extra because they ordered late. And Tommy called to remind them multiple times, but
Well, it's part of business.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other flip side is lost packages as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very delayed or lost. So that's
I
always
never
fun.
did get that lid.
I know, side panel, but yeah, UPS.
Where'd it
They
go?
picked up 3 packages from my house. 2 of them made it. The third one never made it out of Knoxville.
Wow.
But where does it go?
I don't. I mean, somebody, the Knoxville UPS may have had a Nova 35 that needed a side panel.
I had a package show up after I came back from vacation. I told you guys about it. And it was supposed to
Oh,
be
the
a
pipe, right?
C-130 tube that was
Yeah.
broken or lost, and they sent it to me. And it was a box about this big with this little round black piece of metal in it that's threaded on one end. And they said, "There's your C-130 tube." I'm like, "No, not likely." It was insane. I don't know what
Yeah.
it was for.
There's a week. There was a week when they claimed 2 packages were either damaged or lost, so we reshipped replacements, and the customers received both. Now, I know the one that it was here was the crate was beat up and the tube was busted, but they claimed, I think, complete loss. But yeah, shipping channels can be fun.
Yeah, and if I ever find a real job, then I won't have to worry about shipping anything.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is like, if you guys are doing e-com with your laser business, a lot of that stuff you start shipping, right? And I'm guilty. I don't go back and look at everybody's package to see if it's been delivered or not, or if it's stuck in transit. There's just too much to manage there, right?
I do,
So
but we don't
Christmas,
ship a ton. So,
yeah.
you know,
So I mean, if Christmas time you're shipping 100 packages a week, it's one of those. That's a lot of work to go back and manage that. But
yeah.
sometimes a package is USPS priority is supposed to be 3 days. It's January before that thing moves because it's in the bottom of the pile.
Well, a couple years ago, we sent some stuff to Colorado to my parents, and
It wound up in Jersey.
it left out of Louisville and went to like New Jersey or New York State, whatever, and sat there for like a week or two, and then finally started to go back the other way. So of course it got to my folks after Christmas, which it
Yep.
would have made it in time if it hadn't have. I don't know how it got on the wrong truck or what.
Yep. And
So what
This all applies to y'all for shipping out spare parts or
Yeah.
broke parts. The end user, as us, should also understand that you could ship something from Knoxville, and the next thing you know, it's in SoCal, but it was supposed to wind up in Massachusetts.
Yep. Yeah, I got packages. Chris and Brian have seen me complain about some of these Amazon packages that come out of Brian's neighborhood. They go to Iowa, Missouri, Florida,
We call that
Illinois.
the Laverne syndrome.
Yeah. 2.5 hours away, and it does a 23-hour trip to get to me.
I just had a check mailed from 2 miles up the road that took a week because it went from there to Louisville to back here.
And they hang out in Louisville for a while before they finally come back to us, and it's like,
Yep.
what's y'all's opinion on lost packages? Like, do you report a claim to the server provider, or would you just eat it and just send it again?
Yep.
it depends on what it is, and I've seen a lot of stuff where the customer is actually the one that's supposed to file the claims, not you as the shipper, which can complicate things because then they're like, I don't want to do it, I just want my stuff, and they expect you to do all the things.
But UPS requires photos of it in the box, like before and after when you open it. They require like 10 different photos, and it's just about impossible to make a claim.
So yeah, we had a customer's claim was denied with UPS because we didn't have 15 pictures of us before and during packaging to give them for their claim.
Yes, that's ridiculous.
When it was quite obvious that really bad things had happened to this item. It was a giant flag. Thankfully, it was a regular customer of ours, and she was very understanding. Her brother, who she was gifting it to, was extremely understanding, and we were able to just make a new one and send it to him directly and make it right. But yeah, then that was on us entirely. Cost of doing business.
I had a lady years ago at the UPS store. I was shipping some used tires, and typically you just band them together with zip ties or tape or whatever, and you ship them. She's like, "Well, I need you to pay for a box and put this in a box. Elsewhere, we can't insure these." for damage. She's like, a forklift could run through them. I'm like, if a forklift runs through these tires, they're gonna go straight through that box, no problems.
Yeah.
So we argued back and forth. I'm like, lady, I'm not paying for a box to ship these tires. It's crazy.
Wow.
So if I may change the subject, from a tech support, how has the influx been for y'all? Because
With all these new machines, the bolts and everything else.
you working extra hours, Brian, never ever leaving the garage, or do you
No
actually
comment.
I don't know. Chris was just eating while he was working, so
Mhm.
Sorry,
That's 'cause
Brian, I
I'm
couldn't
going with.
resist. I know how much you love your garage.
I do. I do.
For me, it's because I'm
No,
going
I mean,
wakeboarding right after I get off this webinar, so I got to eat now.
I think with the Bolt, we're pulling a little double duty, just getting information out there and videos and stuff like that. Plus our directives from the higher ups trying to get, we're reorganizing the knowledge base, which is great for the end user, but we got a lot of stuff to rework on the back end.
that's a whole job in
But
itself.
it is,
Mhm.
but it's working. We're making it happen. Our goals aren't very lofty. I mean, two videos and 2 articles a week or something like that.
Yeah,
Not too bad.
nothing crazy. We'll chip it away.
And
It's kind of weird
it's the other
though.
stuff that comes up.
A couple Fridays ago, I was like, "Is there some vacation for laser makers?" Because there was like no tickets throughout the entire day. It was super slow. Like, this is weird.
Yeah,
This
there
is
was a
one of
weird.
those eerie feelings.
That's funny.
And then the following Monday was like, "Here it comes." The floodgates opened up.
Yeah, it was pretty bad on Monday.
It's kind of like even around Christmas, you guys, everybody that makes stuff for the holidays, y'all go gangbusters. Y'all work very hard. And I think after the holiday season, the shipping rush is done. It was like everybody put their machine up till after New Year's. Like, we're not even going
Yeah.
out there to laser a dang thing.
Between Christmas and New Year's, we're all like, don't call me, don't email me, don't text me.
Yeah. It,
How
it
much of
was
y'all's
crazy.
tickets are actually knowledge versus actually problems in the machine? Like lack of
Uh,
knowledge.
I mean,
50-50 or so, I would say.
I would say it's a little less. I mean, because we do the trainings and stuff, that counts too. And that's, having good machines and not having so many calls on actual problems gives us the ability to do that even better. I don't know if it'd be 50-50, but maybe something really, 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 really close.
yeah, I think a lot of
I
them
don't know.
are either software nuances with the machine, stuff like that, not necessarily broken parts.
Right.
The big one's just getting your units right between millimeters and inches, offsets and speeds and stuff like that, making sure those are good.
Them LPSUs though.
Yeah. Fires every now and then, 220 volt every now and then.
Hmm.
Freezing comes up. That's why we did the PSA earlier.
Yep, January, February, y'all always get hit with.
Sometimes December, depending on where you're at.
Depending upon where
Yep.
you are, yeah.
Last
Well,
year was
some of those,
nasty, and this year is supposed to be even worse. This
yeah.
year they're saying that it's going to be bad, and if you're not prepared, last year, November, December, people were flipping out, and it was just a mad rush of tubes and craziness. We ran out, Amazon ran out, everybody was out.
Yeah. There was nothing to be had in the U.S. that I know of.
Right.
We replenished everything.
We had that big deep freeze that came through in my area. It was 4 degrees overnight and probably teens for 3 or 4 days. So that, I mean, people's water pipes and stuff were busting too. So it was pretty bad.
But we had that.
Shit.
It was that same week. He's
Was it
talking
the
about.
same? But when the power went out and all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were worried because the power went out and I got the text notifications and I'm like, oh, but it says it'll be back on by like 8 o'clock tonight. And I was texting with the neighbor and she's like, that's in 3 days. And I was like, but he went running to Menards to grab a generator. So now we at least have a generator to keep things going just in case.
And my neighbor this year will get it wired in so that I can just roll the generator over and plug straight in, and it'll run what we need to run, whether it's the heat or.
Yeah, we can take turns running stuff out here to keep stuff from freezing out here or whatever we need to do versus in the house.
Yeah, so if worst case scenario, people go, oh, I got my heated garage or my heated space, but if the power goes out for those 3 days, you don't have to have power to drain that tube.
Yeah.
On the back of the chiller, you got a little gray plug, pull that or unscrew that, and then take the 2 lines off of the chiller, and then I take one of them, I think it's the outlet from the machine, or the 2 lines at the back of the machine, and raise it up above and get that water to basically siphon out and just, a little bit of residual is not going to be a big deal, but you want to drain that tube.
Brian, you mentioned the other day, somebody asked about power consumption for the Bolt. Was it 6.5 amps? Is that a full load, or is that, or something like
6,
that? What?
Yeah, 6 is the listed full load amp.
Okay.
So it doesn't take a whole lot, just like your galvos and stuff. I mean, you put one of those kilowatt meters on there, it probably is drawing 3 amps or something. But yeah, it's 6.
Unlike a heat press, which siphons power out of the grid amazingly well to heat up. That's it. If we get one, that's the only concern that the building manager had was tripping circuits. So I thought it was like 6. So and even on a 50 amp circuit, that's not gonna, unless I got 30 people on that same circuit, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, but I want to say the Odin 22 is also 6.
Okay.
Thereabouts, maybe 8. But yeah, anything with heat are just basically going to burn current and trip breakers.
You got questions?
Yeah, I do. First of all, I got a machine, Nova 51 100. It'll either be delivered tomorrow or Monday. And a call out to you guys. I feel like I know all of you. I've went back and watched every one of these calls since April. It's been really good. Hey, you know what? I spend my normal day on the phone all day, and at least 10 or 12 times I went to unmute and comment with you guys, not thinking I wasn't really on the call. So it's been really good. My question is, on delivery, I'm assuming somebody has experienced unloading a 51 with a lift gate off a truck. Any advice on what to do and how to do that once he gets out here?
Pray.
51 isn't that bad.
The very most important thing
is a bear.
Yeah, the important thing is that they loaded it in the machine long ways, or in the truck long ways. If they have the short side facing them and try to get the forks in there, it'll be way too long. That's what trips them all up, because they don't want to squeeze it in there. It'll fit, but that's the number one thing. Once you get it on the lift, it's a little rickety, on the lift gate. It may hang off just a little bit, but if you take the pallet jack after you get it on the lift and transfer it to the front and then let it down and pull it off, it usually goes pretty smooth.
It was absolutely terrifying to watch. I had recently seen one of the pictures and stuff of one that had toppled off before our 51 got delivered. So I had my phone out recording just in case something happened. The poor delivery guy had to empty half of his truck to get the 51 because they didn't load it correctly. Finally got the 51. He's literally like little guy too, and he's manhandling it to get it off the lip of the truck so it was fully on the lift gate. So that's terrifying. So then he finally gets it out, asks us where we want it put. He puts it exactly where we want it, which was super nice of him. And then he's like, okay, open it, make sure it's not broken. So then, Tommy got to, check the tube. That was really all that mattered while the guy's loading his truck back up to go.
Yeah,
And everything was fine.
I could fix anything else.
It was just terrifying to watch. And of course, we had a customer who was over at the same time, but he was super nice about everything too. So
Dave, one thing that I do is I usually have 2 sticks of 2x6s. Yeah, 2x6s here, and if I need it, I put them underneath the pallet. I stand way back and kind of help support it. But I mean, there's nothing you could do. They just have to manipulate it. If it's a good truck driver, they know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
The driver makes all the difference, but they also have some triple lift gates, SD's does, and when that thing extends out, you can take a Nova 51 with the narrow side coming out of the truck, and it fits on that. But really, it's just the driver's got to be comfortable with spinning that thing, having us kind of sit off the sides and the front, knowing the technique with the pallet jack, and then lowering it on down.
There is a video of that, a couple of 51s being delivered that are kind of best practices, or they went off pretty smoothly. And sometimes I'm thinking if the driver watched that couple of minute video, they may glean a lot of information off of just being able to see it happen.
Yep.
I'll find it and link it.
Perfect.
The good news is I've got one that flipped over on its lid, and you could run it as is. Got a couple, vanity dents in it, but they flipped it back over, and she's good to go. A little bit of broken foot, and tube was fine.
that's awesome.
Yeah, they're hosses.
I'll try not to test that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, our 35 that I'm pretty sure, didn't it take a tumble before we got it?
A couple of them have. I can't remember if yours was one that fell off the lift gate or if it was just from crush damage.
And it works like a champ.
I linked that video in the chat, or the article that'll have that video. But,
Cool.
Oh yeah, we didn't tell you half of what was wrong with that machine we sold y'all. Man, it looked like a Pepsi can that somebody stepped on.
I look at it now after Chris's maintenance work. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, and I understand the working parts of it. That's why, fixing them.
Yeah, he's learning the technical stuff. So
Dave, I would be so confident even if you watch that thing do somersaults off the back of it, I'd crack that open and tell them what damaged and fix it yourself. These Novas, no.
They're tanks.
You may have some cosmetic damage, but no. I can't see you breaking anything major.
I have a 63 sitting over there.
Oh yeah, that was
in the crate, and it was on its side. It was upright, and they refused it. But I got it here, and I opened it up, and it.
How did you flip it?
Perfect.
Did you just let it fall?
I didn't do it.
Did you see him do it?
I took it all. Oh, I didn't. Stop asking all these questions.
Just know that it's upright now. It's good.
It's correct now. It is in the correct position. I uncrated it. It looks perfect, and it's going to go to the next owner at a little bit of a discount.
You can't beat that.
There's one year, probably about a year ago, it looked like the depot had made like a metal frame, and they flipped the thing up on its side, and they delivered it when the person wasn't home and just left it by their mailbox. Oh, yeah. Welcome home. But yeah, and with the SDs, I made a post on the Facebook page. It sounds like they got hacked, so they've been doing some no-call deliveries. They're going back to very basic practices. Hopefully they get that squared away, but I got a little surprised.
Don't call anyway.
The UV showed up, just randomly showed up.
And SD's is one of my favorite. Them and R&L's been pretty good. FedEx has been pretty good, and Southeastern Freight Line's been pretty good. The
Yeah.
ones that shall not be named. Force.
Yeah.
Oof.
So we've
Yeah.
got some like
Those
local
guys.
company that delivered the fiber and the UV.
It's actually the same company y'all or Thunder China uses to fly them in.
Oh, ABC Logistics or something?
Something like that. We have up
Or
in
DHL?
Louisville. No, what DHL? I expected them. It was something else because their shipping labels
Acme.
were all over it from the flight.
Oh, nice.
I mean, they
Acme.
still have issues, but
Is that the next step?
Meep.
it's 5 o'clock.
Ah, sorry, I was
Right.
typing.
That's
I'm gonna
okay.
hit the
I'm trying.
button.
I'm trying